Today we are going to build a blog directory and a blog post page template completely from scratch because blogging in 2025 is still not dead. And I'm not going to bury the lead here. Let me show you how it looks first. So we have our blog page here. Got this beautiful looking directory. We've got these little cards. We've got these subtle little animations and hover states. We've got filters. We've got a search bar. And then we actually click in this. We got a nice little template. We got a table of contents that works. We've got an about the author. We've got a share button. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Sentence, you must be some kind of design savant. Well, my friend, I have a confession for you. This was all built with AI. So let me show you how incredibly easy it is to do this for yourself. Okay, step one, before we get to building, let's actually find some design inspiration and work on just a nice tight prompt to give to the AI builder. Now, the beauty about AI today when it comes to design is we can essentially find anything online and basically match the style almost down to the pixel. So in my opinion, there's absolutely no excuse for bad design anymore. And that's why I think it's super important too, to just have a running swipe file of different websites, images, assets, styles. And that's what I do. I just save things that I think look good. I don't even know how they'll be used down the line, but I just have a running Pinterest board of all of these different design styles. And what I did for this one, for example, is I just started combining these saved Pinterest boards that I had into one for AI for Mortals. So we have this sort of design style. It's somewhat cohesive. It's maybe a little all over the place. The one thing that I want to do is emphasize like retro futurism in the header images. And then for everything else, just because like this style is very maximalist and heavy for something like a blog post where there's text, and it would be taking away from the text in a lot of cases. I want to keep just more of like a minimal bitmap. What is this called? AS2 rendering bitmap. I don't know. I didn't even know what this was called. I was just like, oh, this looks cool. And then I gave it to ChatGPT to actually define the style. And then I went back into Pinterest and then just typed in the style and then just started saving more of these as well. So that's another cool hack you can do. And you can even prompt ChatGPT to create different images. So ask it, what does this image look like? How would you describe this? And then have it give you a prompt and then go to a 4.0 image generator and actually generate an image like that. This is the Pinterest board. This is what I put together. This is the sort of the visual identity for this. And then now that I have that, what I do is I just go to FigJam and I just put it all in one place. It might be overkill, but I just like having different elements laid out like this. I'm just incredibly visual like that, where it's just easier for me to visualize how this blog is going to look. And then I also, in other Pinterest boards that I've saved, I also have this these different blog directories. So I have a few examples just in terms of the actual like structure of what I want it to look like. This is going to be the biggest thing we're going to be feeding into the AI builder. You'll see in a second. We're just going to take screenshots. I'm going to copy and paste this and say, try to recreate this as much as possible. And just so it's not a complete copy, what I like to do too, this is definitely a favorite of mine, this kind of style, but I like to just mix and match little elements here and there, maybe, you know, some tags at the top, search bar from this one. I like the just kind of like rounded corner design here with the title below and different cards. And that's for the actual directory, the actual index page. And then the second thing is the structure for the actual blog post. I like how this one has a headline and then the image on the right. And I just like the way it's structured and even this like section header here. And then we have just different types of blog posts. And what I'll do similar to this blog directory is I'll just mix and match them. Again, just add different elements. Like I like this table of contents here. And I like this sort of like design style just for the table of contents. So we're just kind of piecing them all together. It's what's so cool about AI now is like you can just find things that you think look cool and then just put it in and build it and it'll be live on the site. You'll see it will be that easy, that straightforward, certainly run into errors, but that is the breakdown of the actual style. And then just looking over here as well, I just copied this mood board over from Pinterest. And just to separate these two, like I want the header images to be this. And what we can do is with 4.0 image generator now, it's pretty good at matching these different styles and just having it come up with these sort of just like abstract concepts for different blog posts. And not all of this is going to go into the AI builder. Like I said, it's probably overkill, but it's just a good reference to go back to as I'm building and be like, oh, maybe I could add this element here, or, you know, this type of header image here. But we're going to try to keep it pretty basic, at least to start. I also don't want this to, again, distract from the text that's going to be on the blog page. So that's pretty much inspiration. And we also have some fonts that ChatGPT came up with me. We just brainstormed kind of brand guidelines, accent colors, backgrounds, different fonts. So I'm definitely going to feed that into the AI builder. And that's inspiration. So let's get to building. All right, next is building. And for a project like this, I typically start in vo.dev, then I customize everything else in Windsurf or Cursor, which, yeah, I know paying for 3 different AI subscriptions just for website builders is a bit absurd, but it's just so much more efficient when you have multiple tools, especially as you'll see in a second. VO is just better at some things and Cursor and Windsurf are better at others. For example, VO is just really good at matching a style down to the T. I mean, I can give it a screenshot and it will basically build that from scratch. It's also much quicker. So you can just go from 0 to 1, from nothing to a landing page in like no time at all. And then with Cursor and Windsurf too, there's always errors to start, dependencies it needs installing, all of that. VO, it just builds and it builds it fast. So it's super nice. So that's how I justify paying over $60 a month just for building. Anyway, let's go to VO. Let me just show you kind of my thought process here before we get started. So I already have this landing page that I built with VO, and I just want to build off of that, not do a net new project because it'll just get too confusing trying to combine those later on. This just makes it easier to build off of, which I imagine will probably be your case too. You'll probably have something already built or partially built, and the blog will just be added on top of that, which is much more seamless than trying to start from scratch. Now let's work on our prompt. So to do that, we're going to go back to our Figma. I'm going to prompt in ChatGPT because I had already brainstormed some visual guidelines and just some fonts and all that. So it's familiar with the project, and I'm just going to take some screenshots. So I think that's good enough. This is just kind of the like little accents and stuff I want to highlight. And then I also have these saved blog posts and blog directories. So we're going to start with the blog index page, the actual directory, and then we'll move into the blog post. But for now, we just need the actual blog homepage. So I really like this one. I hate to just blatantly copy it, but it looks great. So we can make some changes later, but I just love the structure. So ChatGPT's got all of that. Now I'm just going to tell it. So I am working with an AI builder to build a website. I want it to be kind of in this visual style that we talked about for AI for Mortals. And then in that last screenshot is how I want the blog to be styled. So if you can just describe that in as much detail as possible for the AI builder, including just having accents and just little visual elements overall. Design a blog directory, mimic the clean 2-column layout in the blog screenshot. So we've got the prompt. Now let's go over to VO. I'm just going to tell it I'm building a blog post directory for AI for Mortals. Please build out the directory and follow this prompt exactly in terms of styling. Here is the reference screenshot attached. Please match this as close as possible. Bring over the screenshot. All right, we'll let it get to building. All right, in like 4 minutes, it's got a blog set up. Let's see what it's got. Pretty good. Pretty good start. Wow. Let's look at it in a new tab. Jeez. This VO is like, it just continues to impress me. This would have taken 10 back and forth with Cursor or Windsurf, especially Cursor for some reason. I mean, this is like pretty solid. Obviously, you know, we need to replace header images and change the titles and stuff like that, but we've got a filter. We've got the blog post styled really well. It's even got a little accents here and there. Nice, looks good. Can you just add some accents, some of that green accents to the filters and then like the header, the hover state of the actual cards? Like when I hover, I want the headline to turn that green accent color and have just an underline under the headline. All right, I'm just going to keep tweaking this. I think you get the idea. It's really just going to be me talking to it back and forth and just making a few changes, but I think it about nailed it in one prompt, which is pretty incredible. All right, here is the blog directory latest. Didn't make a whole lot of changes, just minor things. That's why I wanted to fast forward my screen, because it honestly just like back and forths that aren't really going to teach you much. I mean, if you are doing this yourself, it's just a lot of like, move this to the left, move this to the right. One thing I did do, which is helpful, a little hack that I've picked up on. If you're not a developer, you might not know this either. I didn't know this. The actual developers will definitely know this trick, but what you can do is you can go into developer tools, hit Command-Option-I on your Mac, and you can select elements and actually find like the dimensions, the font sizes, all of that. So it's super helpful if I'm trying to match, because what I was doing with VO was we were kind of going back and forth on like sizes. It was a little too big and wide, and I just didn't know how to describe it. So I just got the exact dimensions and gave it to VO, and then it finally fixed it. So if you just open up, hit inspect, it'll show up like that, and then you can just click this icon on the top left, and then you can just hover over different things. So when we were trying to get this left post sized right, I just hovered over it. I'm like, oh, okay, it's 528 by 729. So I just went back and said, make this 528 by 729. And then I did the same thing for the card on the right, 752 by 165, and we just matched it exactly. It still didn't do it fully right, but like, it's good enough, whatever. And yeah, so that's looking good. And then we've got a little hover state here with the green accent color. I love what it did. This is what it did originally with these filters, which is beautiful. It's even got the filters like right. They show up when you click the different categories. And then I added, just have a little something because it felt just a little too bland. I'm trying to lean into what we had on the mood board. What I did is I went over to this image that was in the Figma of just this. I just like this like random sort of accent star object with this like grainy brain. I don't know, just something different. So this is the beauty of 4.0 image generator. Recreate this, only the brain in the middle, no text. And then had that, and I'm like, all right, give it a little more texture. Then it gave it some texture. Then I said, okay, remove the transparent background. You get the idea. So we just have a nice little design element. Again, this is where it's like so cool with AI now, where it's technically different. It's very similar, but it's technically different. And yeah, you could say, oh, you're just copying it, but it's still a net new image. So we're getting a little bit into like, I don't know, a gray area, but this is the style I wanted. And in the actual website, it looks much different than it does here. So when I actually input it into the website and I had VO just give it like an overlay, so it's kind of hidden, it's barely visible, but it's just a little something extra to make the directory look a little bit more dynamic. And then of course, speaking of copyright infringement, I don't think I don't think the David statue is copywritten anymore. I think the statute of limitations of 400 years has run up on that. But I have this David image that I can't even remember I think I found it online, and then I just had ChatGPT give it some more texture. So here it is. It's just a little something, and it has that kind of bitmap style that we're going for. VO, put it in the bottom left and make it like not really visible. It's just like, I don't want to take away from the text like I keep mentioning, but it's a little something extra. So I think with that, the blog directory is all done. It's good enough. I don't know, I could probably keep tweaking on this thing, but we're going to settle it there. And the next thing we want to do is actually build the blog posts. So if we go back to our Figma, we have blog directory done. Now we want to do the actual blog post. So I'm again just going to take this screenshot from, I think this is from these guys from Belkin. So I'm going to take the screenshot. I'm going to paste it right into VO. I'm going to say, all right, now make this into a blog post. And we're going to get to styling that. So now with the actual blog post page, we're going to do some mixing and matching here. The first thing, I really like this overall structure. There's some things like in the different columns that we don't need, so I'm going to tell it that. We'll probably bring in just like a table of contents, maybe like a share. Maybe we'll keep the share. We'll have an about the author, And yeah, just kind of mix and match these different blog posts that I like into one prompt. So let's do that now. So here's what I'm going to do, not to give the AI too much conflicting information. We're just going to start with a very basic recreation of this blog post style. And then what we'll do is we'll go and we'll just add in a table of contents, other elements from our different references. Perfect. Blog directory looks great. Now we need to create the actual blog post pages. So make sure you set up your project directory accordingly to match those. And then we can use these dummy articles that you've included. This is the design style we want to go for these blog post pages. So try to match this exactly and match the top header section where the title is, where the header image is on the right, and then the section below it where the actual body copy goes. That we have a share on the left, body copy in the middle, and then we have space for something on the right about the author. VO is just really is quite good at doing this, like taking screenshots and just building it. It is, in my experience, much better than Cursor or Windsurf. Like Cursor, Windsurf will just completely overthink it, whereas VO will just do exactly what you tell it to, especially when you give it an image or a visual to match. Okay, so nice, good first attempt. First thing, the header section, I want it to be a different color. So I need you to first just change it to a white background and then just have like a line that goes below it, and then we can keep that same manila background for the body copy. The next thing, I need you to just increase the padding overall in the top header section. The next thing, just make the image, the header image on the right needs to be bigger. Here is the dimensions for the header image. Try to match that exactly. And then I need you to left and right align this perfectly. So right now you have the headline left aligned with the share button, which is great, but the header image is not big enough and it's not taking up enough space to be right aligned with the about the author card. This is the beauty of Mac Whisper Flow too. I can just really rant and just read my thoughts. Like I would never do that typing, but I can just get as detailed as I can with these new voice dictation apps. So that's pretty cool too. It definitely makes vibe coding much easier when you're just talking to your screen and not having to type with your fingers like it's 2020. Okay, you overshot the right alignment. So what I'm saying is the header image card size right now is perfect. Just bring it more left and then you're gonna have to just change the headline to lines. Also change the body copy text. I don't like this typewriter text that you have. I want it to be the text, the font I gave you. This might be one of those things where you bring into Windsurf or Cursor and just change it because VO can't seem to get this down. I'm gonna keep playing with this though. It's so close, but it just doesn't seem to understand to keep the image the same size and just move it over to the right. You get the idea. The blog post is pretty good from really one prompt. Is very close. But again, we're just gonna make all these minor changes because I am a perfectionist and because it's possible. So let's make those changes, and then I will come back when we start adding these other elements to the actual blog post. All right, the next prompt that actually did a great job. I thought this was going to take forever, but what I did again that really helped was I just went and defined the dimensions. So I said 1376 by 520, and I said make the header image this, make the headline section this. You can see in my comments. So image, headline, change the headline to 48 pixels, and then the actual section dimensions, and it about crushed it. So we've got the kind of the bones of the blog posts set up. Now we're going to make some changes to the left and right columns. I actually like this about the author. I think it's kind of perfect. Can you change the about the author, say YouTube educator? Also, the PDF free resource, delete that. Do what you need to do to find the most recent icons of these social media logos. Next thing, I actually want us to include a table of contents. So we're going to include that on the left side. The table of contents should be styled like this, and it should only match with H2s in the actual blog. So connect that with the blog markdown. file somehow. Design the table of contents like the image attached. I also need you to bring the share section in the left column, bring it over to the right. Let's go to our blog, check out the latest updates. Nice. Oh, wow, it actually works too. Oh, I got the icons right. Tech educator, YouTube creator, AI enthusiast. Got the share buttons. Can we try in the table of contents, just same white card styling as the about the author and just have it in a card? And then can you move the share section to the right side, third column under the about the author, and just make those into circles, like darker gray circles, and then just have a hover state over each of the share icons that just gets turns green, the green accent color. Okay, so we've got our blog. Here's the latest. Contents are styled nice. It actually works. Share button, not exactly what I wanted, but good enough. So the blog's done. Now on to my favorite part, and that is making images with 4.0 image generator. So if we go back to our Figma board, we have all these different types of images. I'm wondering how well 4.0 can do this. And I also don't want to blatantly just copy these, but I'm going to see, like if I go, I'm going to go to my Pinterest board here. I'm just going to copy these right into 4.0. So we just need like 5 or 6 for the blog post. And this is just for the header images. So let's do, this one was really cool. Recreate this with 16:9 aspect ratio, retrofuturism, grainy texture, 80s. My thought is 4.0 was pretty good at recreating images, but it's not perfect. So I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be a little bit different. So it's not just a blatant copy of this image. So let's see what it comes up with. I'm going to go through and just recreate some more of these. What else? This one I love. Copy this. Copy the same prompt. Wow. Incredible. This one looks even better. I like the texture on the face better. 4.0 is just unmatched. This one I don't love. Too plasticky. Give it more grain and texture like the 80s. Okay, so we got some good header images now. Now let's go back to our VO build and just add those header images in. And this thing's about ready to go live. All right, now we just got to drag our header images. Attach our 6 images that I want you to use for each of the 6 blog posts. Just randomly include them for the different blog posts. It doesn't matter. Just add these to each of them. So I want them to be visible on the blog post directory. And then also just as we click through and it directs to the actual blog post, I want it to be in the header image section. All right, so we've got our header images uploaded. Let's go to blog. Looks really good. Much better than I thought, actually. Blog looks great. Exactly what we're trying to get across. Maybe it's a little too abstract. Like maybe I should have, if I'm talking about ChatGPT, I should have the logo in there or whatever. That's for another day. So that's pretty much it. And I'll be honest too, I didn't really skip out on anything. There was no debugging. Everything was pretty straightforward. It's really impressive what VO can do. And I thought I was going to go into Cursor and Windsurf to customize this. I thought for sure we'd run into something, but VO was able to just take this and run with it. We are going to go to Cursor and Windsurf in the next section, as you'll see in a second, but pretty much it. Here it is in totality. We got our homepage, we got the blog, we got our blog directory. Images take a little too long to load. Maybe we'll fix that. Click these, and there it is right there. Let's go on to the next section. Like I mentioned, we're now going to bring this push it to GitHub. For some reason, I can't push to GitHub in VO. I haven't been able to, I don't think it can. Maybe it can. I don't know. I've never been able to figure it out. So this is the only time we're going to use these IDEs to export. All right, now we're finally ready for Windsurf. So I'm just going to go up here in the top right. I'm just going to download this code, download as a zip, and then I'm going to open it in my Windsurf coding folder, delete this zip. Also, we just need to make a whole new GitHub repo. And so let's go over to GitHub. I'm going to go new. I'm going to call this AI for Mortals with blog. Making this private. Create repository. All right, so we got our GitHub link. We'll copy that. We'll save that link for later. Now we are going to open Windsurf. I'm going to open a new folder here. We're going to go to our AI for Mortals hero with blog. So we've got this full thing in here. And I'm just going to tell Windsurf, let's go to 3.7. Can you just set up this project? It's a single Next.js project with a homepage and a blog page directory and then blog posts. Can you just set this up and give me an external server for me to look at and confirm that you set it up properly? I don't know if this is necessary, but I've ran into issues, especially on Cursor for some reason, of opening up files from these web builders like Lovable and VO and stuff. Cursor never seems to do it right, so I just want to check if Windsurf will do it right, and then we'll actually tell it to push it to GitHub. But it should be able to just like open up the files exactly and recreate the site from the project directory, I'm assuming. The components are existing. You don't need to make anything new. I just need you to open it. And so it understood after I mentioned that. So now it's checking the project structure. It's opening up the project. Yeah, might need to install some dependencies. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like so much easier in VO to just not do this stuff. And just to explain what we're doing, I don't know if I actually gave a precise explanation of why I had to open this in Windsurf. The issue stems from, so VO can do pretty much everything. It can even deploy into a custom domain, but I want to save this repository somewhere, all of this code somewhere. And to do that, we use something like GitHub where we can store our code and we can do a bunch of other stuff with it. And it's also just for like version control and all that. You've probably heard of GitHub, but it's just super important to have this step in here before you actually deploy your site live. And at least not to my understanding, it's possible to do that in Vercel. So that's why we do this. That's why I had to open up Windsurf and do this kind of more of a custom route. But the minute VO can just push to GitHub, there really is no reason why, if you're building something as simple as this, to not just be building all in VO. And then Vercel too, just to explain this. So let me just show you what we're going to be doing here. Vercel is basically, I don't know how to describe it. It's for deployment, which is basically how to get your website on the internet. So right now previously we were just looking at this URL, which is just on our local server. It's not actually live in the world. What Vercel allows you to do is we can actually just connect our GitHub repository directly. We don't need to do anything else. And then it will just go live. And then we can even connect a custom domain. So that's what Windsurf is working on right now. It looks like it prepared configuration file, which is essentially just like a set of instructions for Vercel to read. So it actually gets the website live and doesn't mess it up. So now if we go back to GitHub, we had this previous page where we made a new repository. Now, if I hit Command R, you're going to see our full repository is here. And so, like I said, it's nice just to have this for version control. And if we ever want to make changes, we can go back to this. We can continue to really customize it in Windsurf, and then we can what's called push to GitHub. So apparently everything is good. We've got our GitHub repository. We've got all of the project files ready to go. Now, like I mentioned, we went to Vercel. Let me just show you this again. We had add new, we hit project, and then here is the repository we just made. So you can just hit import and then hit deploy. All right, so cool. It is deployed, it's live. So let's go to our dashboard. So now we have this live link. And so this is where it gets off our local server and into the World Wide Web, where anyone can go and access it via this link. And then I'm just going to test and make sure. Wow, it's really slow loading. We're going to have to figure that out. But we've got it. We've got our blog posts. We've got our directory. We got our pages. Looking freaking great. So that's about it. Let me just show you one more thing. Let's actually connect our domain. So right now it's like this long blog.vercel.com, and I'm just going to add a domain. And I've got the domain already saved in Vercel's system with my domain provider, which is Cloudflare. So I already set this up. Connect it to production environment, save, and then it should configure right away. And then let's see, let's actually go to this URL. There it is. And then we can go to our blog. Blog is here. Blog post page is here. We've got everything. And that is how you build a blog basically from scratch using mostly VO and a little bit of cursor and windsurf to get it live. So you can see, really straightforward. Like, you're just kind of talking to the AIs now and they're just building. As long as you get the, the GitHub stuff down to the Vercel, like, there's no real technical challenges at all. It's a lot of just talking to it and telling it to change things. And that's exactly what I did here. And I mean, this thing looks objectively kind of beautiful. All right, have fun building your own. Send me what you come up with, and I'll see you in the next one.